Good morning. And I wanted to start this interview by asking you just to say your name and a little bit about where you're from.
My name is Lenny Kalasinga. That's my maiden name, but now it's Lenny Ruben since I'm married to this guy here. And I'm from a rural village in Kenya called Namakoe. It's in Kakamega. I'm Luya.
Okay. All right. So I have some questions that these are from my students about your upbringing and what it's like to be a woman in different parts of Kenya. So the first question is, I think I'm going to change the order here and say, in your community, well, first of all, could you tell us a little bit about how you grew up, like what your childhood was like?
Yeah, I grew up in a small village. My father had many wives. I know that sounds crazy, but he had 4 wives. My mother was the first wife. She had 4 kids. I'm the second born, and I have other siblings who are like my stepsisters and my stepbrothers, and it was kind of like a huge family, and we all got along. It might be hard to believe that how can you have 4 women living on the same small farm with only one guy I'm married to, but I grew up on that same kind of environment, and it was all right.
So what kind of chores did you have when you were growing up?
Oh, growing up as a little girl, we had chores for girls and sometimes chores for boys. Boys mostly went herding, taking cows for grazing, and girls usually did the fetching of water, collecting of firewood, cooking, washing clothes, cleaning the house, and so on. I don't think boys had as much to do other than just take the cows out and spend the whole day maybe over there, come back. And sometimes when it's planting season, they did the plowing. But me, I took over that part because I was one of the older siblings and my dad didn't have older boys to do the job. So I was more of a tomboy, doing most of what is regarded as boys' work.
Because you didn't have any sons to do the work.
He didn't have the sons to do the work, so I did I did what boys were supposed to do, and I did what girls were supposed to do. So actually, I did both, and I found it to be interesting because it made me tough. It toughened me up, so I like that.
So did you ever feel when you were growing up that, did you ever feel like you were supposed to be inferior to men? And was that part of the culture? And did you do anything about it?
Actually, sometimes I felt that way. I felt like maybe women were not as powerful as men were. Because my father had this thing whereby when he's speaking, you have to all keep quiet, whether you disagree or not. You don't say anything back, because he saw himself as kind of the big shot. You don't stand up to him whether you disagree or not. Just you have to let go, and he has to speak. And sometimes he would get violent and abusive physically if you happen to oppose him, and it could be intimidating. And I'm one of those kids who kind of stood up to him, and we could collide heads, me and my father. Sometimes he didn't like me because I could stand up to him and say, you know what, you're wrong. Whether he could hit me or not, I still could say something about it. So I guess I would say I felt inferior. On the other hand, I think I could stand up to him. So maybe, I don't know if it was a negative or positive thing. It depends.
So did you experience any clear coming of age, like a rite of passage? And did the boys in your culture experience any?
I don't think the girls have any clear passage. Usually it's the boys, when they reach the age of 10, between 10 and 15, there's this they have to go through like initiation process, and that's usually circumcision. It's done traditionally. You don't go to the hospital. They do it like in the village, and they have to do it in front of everybody, and you have to stand there with no like kind of medication to numb you or anything, anesthesia. So they want to see how tough you are as a man. If you can stand there and like someone come and circumcise you with a knife with no medication whatsoever. And that's like if you can't move or cry or make any weird noises, and then you're a man. And usually most men go through that, and I don't think I ever saw anybody cry. They all stood there and just went through the pain. And it's like everyone gets happy because you've passed that, you've proved that you're a man.
So, how do you think your community would respond to the efforts to try to eliminate or at least address gender inequality?
I think they would react in a negative way because that's how they see life. Life is like that. Like the women are used to just doing the everyday things they do, like taking care of, staying, most of them stay home, although my mom did not stay home, and she was viewed in the community that she was trying to be like a queen or something. She's trying to be like a man, taking on man's work. Mm-hmm. So kind of like some women reacted like negatively towards her because she had a job whereby she could wake up in the morning, she had us, and she could go to work. And most women wake up in the morning, maybe go to the farm, maybe take whatever they're getting from the farm after they harvest stuff, take it to the market, come home, cook, clean, and do everything. And men are known to go to work and bring home in the evening whatever they've gotten, whatever they went to work, or bring home money for them. Mom take care of the kids at home. So I think it would be tough just to go and impose that to them because they're used to it and they're happy. That's the way of life.
So now that you're a grown woman, I guess you're living in the States now. What's the comparison? Like what the work you do now versus the work you would have done as a grown woman in Kenya? How does it compare?
Being in the States, I think, gave me an opportunity to see, like, as a woman, you have choices. You can choose to kind of stay home if you want and be a mom to the kids and maybe go back to the workforce. That's what I did anyway, stay home with my kids, and now I'm pursuing my career right now. But, like, there's choices being in the States, but being in Africa, I didn't have those kind of choices, especially after high school. My parents didn't have money to send me to college. They told me, you know what, this is it. You're either going to find a man to marry or there's nothing else. So there wasn't like opportunities or no options for me. And it's kind of tough as a girl because boys usually like they stay home and they can inherit the land from their fathers. But girls, they have this expectation of when you reach a certain age, like in your mid-20s, you're supposed to be at least moved out and found someone to marry to leave space for the boys. And that's kind of like tough. And I struggle with that because I don't think it's fair towards the girls.
So I just have one more question.
Okay.
This isn't on the list that they gave me, but I think that they would be interested. We've got 18 students from Berkeley Carroll who are traveling to Kenya, mostly to Maasailand. Is there anything that you would like to tell them, or any advice that you have that you would like them to hear before they go to Kenya?
They need to understand that Kenya is a big country, and not everybody from Kenya is from the Maasai tribe. I'm from Luya tribe. There's Maasai, there's Kikuyu, there's so many tribes in Kenya, and each place you go in Kenya, it depends on where. The culture is kind of different. Like they eat different food, they do like different stuff. So don't just go there with one assumption that, oh, the whole Kenya is just the same. So go there maybe with an open mind, knowing maybe this is just particular area of Kenya and this is how their life is. But maybe if we move from Nairobi and maybe go to Western Kenya, the culture there is totally different. So don't assume.
Well, thank you very much. That was very
Okay.
helpful.